SCP-3719. Your friendly neighborhood lawnmower. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-3719 is stored in a standard safe-class containment stall in the Anomalous Objects Wing of Site-82. Foundation Web Crawler SE-851G, Azure Gladius, is to track social media posts, news reports, and SMS messages transmitted in the state of Maryland for references to 3719 cobalt events. References to unnatural flowering plant growth patterns, the formation of collective human amalgamations, and irregularities in the operation of yard equipment are to be flagged and isolated for further monitoring. SCP-3719-A1 through 61, collectively designated SCP-3719-B, are contained in suspended animation in a standardized 10,000 L-Class 6-level Huron containment vat. Note: Level T and Huron. M 2014. Cryogenics in You or How I Became a Teenage Ice Pop, the Foundation Official Handbook on Special Containment Procedures. Revision 24, 279-285. Persons associated with this anomaly, including nearby genetic relatives of SCP-3719-B, have been administered Class A amnestics. These persons are to undergo a false memory implantation procedure to subdue all memory of SCP-3719-B and the impact each affected person had on the Middlesex suburb during their life. Description: SCP-3719 is a Go-On brand lawnmower with a cutting width of 55 centimeters. SCP-3719 performs in an identical manner to non-anomalous rotary mowers, except for a few notable differences. 1. SCP-3719 relies on the energy exerted by its user, designated SCP-3719-A, to power its engine. 2. To prevent fatigue and overexertion in SCP-3719-A, SCP-3719 generates added energy by reclaiming and consuming grass passing through its cutting deck. The generated energy does not mitigate the force required to push SCP-3719. Rather, energy transfers through the lawnmower handle into SCP-3719-A via esoteric means. 3. A chamber within SCP-3719 stores excess grass for future consumption. During use, SCP-3719-A instances operate the lawnmower until the desired lawn is fully mown. Each instance then experiences a sense of personal responsibility from the completion of the task. This mind-affecting property does not hinder SCP-3719-A. Instead, SCP-3719-A instances experience positive emotional effect for long after SCP-3719 use. The emotional impact is shared by any person with a similar headspace to SCP-3719-A within the vicinity of its effects. Note: this includes close familial relatives within 1 to 2 generations. Note: this area of effect expands proportionally to the number of SCP-3719 operating SCP-3719 at a time. Addenda Materials. Discovery: SCP-3719 was discovered in the Middlesex suburb of Baltimore, Maryland, on the 17th of August 2014. On discovery, 61 residents constituting a collective body amalgamation were piloting SCP-3719 along the road with evident ease. Note: amalgamation with an estimated mass of 5,000 kilograms. When the Foundation arrived, about 6 kilometers of roadways displayed anomalously manifested grass, whereas a 2-kilometer stretch of roads had already been mown. The formation of masses like SCP-3719-B and widespread manifestation of grass on paved streets is termed a 3719 cobalt event. Interview log. An interview was conducted with Grace Farley, a single parent living in Middlesex, the day before the discovery of SCP-3719-B. She had reported her son Kevin Farley as missing. A transcript is as follows. Video log. Interviewer: Agent Francis Digby. Interviewed: Grace Farley. Note: after Foundation personnel arrived on scene, a 3 kilometers in diameter no-go zone surrounding the neighborhood was observed and cordoned off. While searching for persons directly affected by the 3719 Cobalt event, embedded field agents discovered Grace Farley, POI-3719-7, sitting alone on the curb. Agent Francis Digby approached Ms. Farley under the guise of a concerned neighbor with the neighborhood watch. Shortly thereafter, she agreed to a recorded interview. Begin law, Agent Francis Digby. Like I said, and I'm Francis Digby from just up the street. And you don't mind if I ask you some things about the incident? Ms. Grace Farley. Course not. Francis, anything you need, my dear. And please, do call me Grace. Agent Digby. So, Grace, how did you first hear about the lawnmower? Ms. Farley. Old Billy kept that mower locked in his garage since before my boys were born. Billy's always been on the go, but after his accident, it's been hard for him to manage things. Robbie lifted the mower from him in the spring, had it refurbished, made sure it worked fine. Let me tell you, Francis, there was just something about that mower that made it special. In all my days, I've never seen Rob so interested in anything, except for that mower. Agent Digby. In what way was he interested? Grace. Ms. Farley. The spark in his eyes when he worked on that thing, you wouldn't believe. It had to be special. Wouldn't make sense otherwise. Agent Digby. So, Bill owned the mower, and he lent it to Robert. Is there any indication that anyone else used the mower during that time? Ms. Farley. She shakes her head. Robbie went about, door to door, asking if anyone wanted their lawns cut. That kid was willing, and it seemed like once he started, he just couldn't stop himself. On the first day, he cut 9 lawns alone. Can you believe that, Francis? Agent Digby grunts in approval. Ms. Farley. The next week it was as if everybody was asking Rob to cut their lawns, all the way down to Waterview. And boy did he do it. Robbie's one of those meek types. When the little ones wanted to try the mower, he let them, so they could learn too. I would never allow my youngest to go near the thing, but those kids nudged it along like it was a toy. Agent Digby. And you said your eldest son was Kevin, correct? Ms. Farley. Yes, my dear. Agent Digby. Grace, for what reason did Kevin start using that mower? Ms. Farley. I had to let my boy try it. Just had to. Heaven knows I wouldn't even know how to use the thing myself. But my Kevin, he's a smart cookie. He could figure out anything he set his mind to. So, when he joined the others, I just knew they were going to enjoy themselves fine. It's better having them so close together, Francis, isn't it? Agent Digby. I'm not so sure what you mean, Grace. Ms. Farley. He's a smart kid with a kind heart. That's the boy I raised. Yeah, I always wanted to keep him away from the bad crowd. Couldn't bear to lose my baby. So, I tried hard, to teach him right, to get him along with the other smart boys I know are out there too. Now, Francis, to see him want to join the other kids. That made me proud. Ms. Farley. All those kids, together, closer than a hug. That's what gives this community its spirit. We can all learn to become as warm as those kids were, and that mower's the key. Agent Digby. How? How'd Kevin and the other kids come together? Ms. Farley. There were maybe 7 others, or so, the closest boys and girls in the neighborhood. We're all good parents. We all know how to raise a good kid, raise a kid well enough, and eventually, they'll raise themselves. Agent Digby. Grace, do you believe that this lawnmower is going to help them learn how to raise themselves properly? Ms. Farley. I don't just think so, Francis. I've seen it with my own eyes. Those kids could achieve incredible things if they just worked together, all 8 of them, in the same body. That's what we raised them for. Agent Digby. You're saying these kids were in the same body? But that's just not possible, Grace. Ms. Farley. Makes sense to me. Francis. Ms. Farley. But wouldn't you like to see all our sons and daughters together, bonding deeper than they ever could naturally? Having them so close together, boy, it just gives me the fuzziest feeling. Middlesex ain't what it was when I grew up. I never learned the same closeness my sons know. Miss Farley retrieves a tissue from her purse. Miss Farley, being able to help the other in such a way, with the smartest sons and daughters this neighborhood's ever seen. That's human. That's heart. I just crave to bask in the skin of the other, to be as warm as them. Wouldn't you like to be as warm as those kids, Francis? Wouldn't you like to share my skin too? Agent Digby. Grace. Miss Farley. Why can't you share one body, one soul, and, by God, if it's possible, one flesh? We're all human. Francis. We're one. We were born together and together we shall remain. It's meant to be that way. 'Cause what other way could there be? Keep 'em together, and we won't be having any more tragedies, like the ones you see in the headlines every week. That mower's the best thing to happen to this neighborhood. Period. You wouldn't understand unless you stitched your heart where all others can see and bask in the skin of your fellow man. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and comment. Subscribe and click the bell icon.